November 7th, 1983. In a Soviet command bunker, deep underground, a duty officer hunched over his console. The air was thick with the smell of stale cigarette smoke and the low hum of aging electronics. On his screens, NATO traffic pulsed, an unnerving symphony of new procedures, unfamiliar code words, and a surge of communications unlike anything he had seen before. His hand, steady for years through countless drills, now trembled slightly as he reached for the secure line. If this was just an exercise, tomorrow would be ordinary. If it was not, tomorrow might never come. 2 years earlier, Moscow had initiated Operation Ryan, a sweeping intelligence directive to detect any signs of a Western first strike. KGB officers across the globe were ordered to look for subtle indicators: lights burning late in government buildings, unusual military movements, even mass purchases of blood plasma. The Soviet Union, convinced of America's aggressive intentions, had trained its entire intelligence apparatus to perceive ambiguity as a warning, to see the shadow of attack in every anomaly. By November 1983, this pervasive paranoia had become deeply ingrained, a drumbeat of fear echoing through the highest echelons of power. So when NATO launched Able Archer 83, its largest command post exercise in years, the Soviet Union didn't see a routine drill. They saw the very indicators Ryan had prepared them for. This exercise, designed to simulate a full transition from conventional conflict to nuclear exchange, included unprecedented realism, heads of state participating, communication blackouts, and new, highly secure codes. As the simulated war escalated, fear within the Soviet system hardened into a terrifying conviction. The West was using the exercise as a cover for a genuine first strike. 1,200 miles away in London, KGB officer Oleg Gordievsky watched the same alarms from Moscow with growing horror. For years, he had been a double agent, secretly feeding intelligence to British MI6. He knew the Kremlin's deep-seated paranoia, but this was different. The dispatches he intercepted revealed a genuine belief that the West was about to launch a nuclear attack. Gordievsky understood the catastrophic miscalculation unfolding. He knew he had to act, to break protocol, to send an urgent, coded message to his handlers. The misunderstanding had become operational, and it was terrifyingly real. From November 7th to 9th, the world teetered on the brink. In East Germany and Poland, Soviet air units were placed on heightened alert. Nuclear-capable aircraft were moved to forward positions, their engines primed. Strategic missile units were reportedly prepared for potential launch, awaiting the final command. Simultaneously, Gordievsky's warnings raced through Western intelligence channels, painting a stark picture of genuine Soviet alarm. The intelligence streamed up the chain of command, confirming that Moscow was not bluffing, that they were genuinely preparing for war. Yet the exercise continued, each side trapped in a silent, desperate race against time, each action fueling the other's fear. On November 9th, the tension reached its terrifying peak. The Soviet operator, his face grim, reported a surge of activity that could only mean one thing: an imminent strike. In Moscow, commanders elevated their alert levels, their fingers hovering over the buttons that could unleash global devastation. At the same moment, Gordievsky's desperate intelligence reached the highest levels of Western command, finally piercing through the disbelief. The world held its breath, unaware that the fate of millions rested on a single, impossible misinterpretation. A war born from a fatal misinterpretation was seconds from becoming reality. Then, on November 11th, Able Archer ended. The simulated war concluded. The messages slowed. The alarming signals Moscow had been watching went quiet. The aircraft stood down. Slowly, without announcement, the alert levels receded. The strike that Soviet leaders feared never came because it had never existed. The world had drifted to the very edge of nuclear war, not through deliberate aggression, but through a deadly cocktail of misread signals, profound secrecy, and overwhelming fear. When the full extent of Soviet alarm became clear, when Gordievsky's intelligence revealed just how close they had come, President Reagan was reportedly profoundly shaken. He had believed the Soviets were posturing, that their rhetoric was merely political theater. He had not believed they were genuinely afraid. This revelation, combined with other events of 1983, quietly reshaped his approach to the Cold War, emphasizing dialogue and de-escalation over confrontational rhetoric. The experience underscored a chilling truth. The most dangerous moments of the Cold War were often the quietest, the ones where the absence of an event was the most profound event of all. The duty officer in the bunker gathered his logs at the end of his shift on November 11th. He walked out into the cold November air, unaware of the global catastrophe that had just been averted, unaware of the role he had played in a war that never happened. He simply went home. The silence he returned to wasn't just the end of an exercise. It was the sound of a world that had, without knowing it, survived its closest brush with annihilation since the Cuban Missile Crisis.